I'm Liz Lasky. I'm a RAPP coordinator for the Center Against Domestic Violence. By day, I'm a social worker in a middle school, and I run a program where we promote healthy relationships. And by night, I moonlight as a doctoral student, and I study cyberbullying and bullying and really how this is a social issue. So for my short amount of time, I want to talk about the social ecology of bullying. So what it means really from a social and a systemic perspective. And then we're going to touch on what really is bullying, because we throw around the word a lot and we don't really know what it is. So because I'm a social worker, we're going to get a little social. So turn to the person next to you, and in 1 minute, and I really mean 1 minute, I want you to share with your partner, and this is for the panel too, who were your role models growing up? What did they do for you? What did they teach you? What did they say to you? How did they impact you? So 30 seconds each. Ready? Go. Okay, so can I get from table number 4, one person who can tell me what a role model? Yell it out. A teacher. Someone from table 7. Mom. Your mother. Perfect. One more from table 3. Grandmother. A grandmother. Great. So we really learn a lot from people in our lives that we love, who paid a lot of attention to us, and they have really helped form us as people. And society as a whole contributes to that process also. It's not just the people we grew up with. It's not just our teachers and our family members and perhaps a rock star that you really looked up to. We learn by looking at people in our society, and they model behavior for us. And the modeling that goes on in our society, of course, really affects our children. So we have to start thinking about what kind of messages we're giving out. So I'm going to read this very quickly. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made and people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you're 6, you're 7, you're 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. So 2 bonus breakfast points for anyone who can tell me what this is from. South Pacific, fantastic. Okay, so I think that this actually really says a lot. We have to be taught who to hate. And we get our messages from a lot of different people. Or let me see a hands up for anyone who watches any of the Real Housewives. What are the Real Housewives teaching us? To one-up each other, to talk about each other, to really know how to hit below the belt. And I'm guilty of it too. Bravo's great. But these are the messages that we're teaching our kids. We also have policies in this country that do the same thing. And I know Don't Ask, Don't Tell was recently changed, but we had that going on in our country for a really long time. And what message did that send to people? We have a huge issue of marriage equality. In my personal opinion, this is a civil rights issue that we need to be taking more seriously right now. But our politicians, our governments, a lot of this country is sending a message that people in same-sex marriages cannot marry. So what does that teach children? Well, it teaches them intolerance. It teaches them that you have to be a certain kind of way to be able to live a full life and to be a full citizen. So this is a quote from someone, Sally Kern. I don't think we'd be friends. Here we go. Studies show no society that has totally embraced homosexuality has lasted for more than, a few decades. I honestly think it's the biggest threat our nation has, even more so than terrorism or Islam. It spreads. This stuff is deadly, and it is spreading. It will destroy our young people, and it will destroy this nation. Now, I'm not here to really push a political agenda, because if I'm being totally honest with you, I'm Canadian. But, however, I think that it is very important to look at where these messages are coming from. You with me, folks? Yes. Okay, so just quickly, I want to touch on what bullying is. And we have a systemic problem and we have a practical problem. We have to address this really on a theoretical and on an intellectual level about the kinds of messages that we're sending to kids. And also every day I go to work and I have to deal with this and I have to know how. So the very first thing that we should know is what is bullying. Because if I see a fight in the hall, that may not necessarily be bullying. If my sister calls and, is calling me really bad names, that may or may not be bullying. Okay, so the definition. A person is bullied when he or she is exposed repeatedly and over time to negative actions on the part of one or more other persons, and he or she has difficulty defending himself or herself. So there are two really important things. The first one is it's repetitive. So it's happening over and over and over again. And the second thing is there's a dynamic of power and control. And we can see this in a lot of different ways: physical, verbal, emotional, bias-based, sexual, and electronic. And I just want to say that for everyone in here who's a parent, or anyone who knows someone who's a young person, or working in the schools, our greatest tool is to talk to them. We need to be asking our kids what they're up to. If you don't know what Twitter is, that's fine, but talk to your kids about what Twitter is and find out what's going on their Facebook page. And just because we don't know the technology, it really doesn't matter, because we have the wisdom of living longer than children. And that's the dynamic that is there anyway. In a lot of ways, the technology is arbitrary when we're talking about cyber issues and cyberbullying and electronic aggression. So if you take anything away from my little 8 minutes, I hope that it would be to really open up conversations with the children in your life and really try and get to know them better. That's it. Thank you.